We start with seated mountain pose. When you're ready, you may first want to make contact with your feet on the floor. You can move your feet back and forth on the floor. You choose how big this movement should be, smaller or bigger. It's always your choice how you want to intensify your sense of contact with the floor. Move exactly the way that's appropriate for you at the very moment. Perhaps you'd like to find your form of seated mountain pose by deciding where you want to place your feet, at hip, width, a bit closer or further apart, whatever feels appropriate for you right now. If you like to intensify the contact of your sit bones by rocking from right to left, moving like this, you may sense your sit bones and your weight shifts from right to left. Or if you prefer, you can also experiment by shifting front to back, rocking forward and backward. Moving back, you may sense your stomach muscles. You may also feel the relaxation in your belly muscles as you move to the front. You can start moving at any time, whenever you feel like it, and for no reason at all. Or if you like, you can round the comments and move in circles. You can play with the extent of your circles, bigger or smaller, or the speed slower or faster. It is entirely up to you. Find your own rhythm in your own way how you want to move. If you like, you can also change the direction. When you go on circling, you may feel your stomach muscles as you move. Moving to each side, you may feel the activation of your muscles at the edge of your body. I will count from 4 to 1, but you can stop this movement at any time. It's always your choice. 4, 3, 2, 1. Once you came back to neutral, you may want to allow yourself a break for 1 or 2 breaths before moving your shoulders. When you're ready to start moving your shoulders in circles, you decide how big or small and how intensive your movement should be. While moving your shoulders in circles, you may sense the muscles in your shoulders and perhaps also the muscles between your shoulder blades. If you like, you can also do the circular movements from front to the back, changing directions. It's your choice how you want to move. I'll start counting from 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, you can let go and give your shoulders some relaxation time. Take a tiny break to allow your muscles to relax and regenerate. For the next pose, the stretch seated mountain pose, you may start by sensing your feet on the floor and your sit bones on the chair. When you're ready, stretch your arms upward. You can now either move your shoulders along with your arms towards the ceiling, or you decide to let your shoulders drop. That is entirely up to you. Allow yourself to find out what's appropriate right now. If you like, you can activate your shoulders, muscles, or even the muscles in your upper arms. When you hold up your arms for a longer time, you may notice the weight of your arms or a tingling in your hands, or perhaps something entirely different. It's up to you if you want to stay in this stretch pose or directly into a side bend. To do this, we start by bending to the left. You may pause for a moment, perhaps feeling the stretching and extending of the right side in your ribs and in the intercostal muscles. When you're ready, change to the other side. How far you go and how intensively you want to bend aside is your choice. You may also feel a stretch in your muscles on the side. If you like, you can change sides in your own rhythm a few times. You can also release this asana at any time by moving from side to side. You may sense the change of your muscle activity from the left and right. You feel the weight in your arms. When come back to the center with the next movement, you can release this asana in your own pace. Allow your arms to lower and when back to neutral, let the muscles of your shoulders and arms regenerate in the seated mountain pose. For the next pose, the spinal twist, we once again start in seated mountain pose. Activate your stomach muscles to support and protect your lumbar spine. When you're ready, put your left hand on your right thigh and pull your right shoulder back. You can simply let your arm hang down, but you can also hold your arm parallel to the floor to intensify the stretch and twist. Or hold it lower or higher and pull it back further. It's your choice. If you like, you can look over your right shoulder. If you'd like to learn new variation, cross your right leg over the left, turn back to the right in the spinal twist, and decide which variation is just appropriate for you at the moment. Being in this position for a while, you may sense the muscle between your shoulder blades and perhaps also a stretch in the chest musculature or your right side or something entirely different. You can leave this pose at any time or after 4, 3, 2, 1, if you like. You can stay in the seated mountain pose for a moment. You may feel subtle differences between right and left in the area of your shoulder muscles, also in your chest musculature. Or you may feel nothing at all. Sometimes these differences are so subtle that we may not even notice them. When you're ready, we'll do the posture on the left side. Once again, we start by putting the right hand on the left thigh and pulling back the left shoulder. Remember your activated stomach muscles. Here as well, you can decide where to put your arm, higher or lower. And you also decide whether you would like to cross your leg or just leave your legs next to each other. You may sense a little difference on the side. Sometimes the sides aren't exactly the same. You may feel this in the weight of your arm or the stretch in your left chest musculature. Or perhaps you sense something entirely different. Maybe you may feel very little or even nothing at all at this moment. And this is absolutely okay. Now I'll start counting backward again. 4, 3, 2, 1. Take your time to return to seated mountain pose. In this neutral position, you can give your muscles a bit of a break and relaxation. For this next asana, the cat-cow pose, I'd like to invite you to move your spinal column. This means that you round your spine for the cat and let's arc back and straighten it. Slightly or even back bend for the cow. You can experiment with the movements. Bend your spine subtle between tiny poles or distinct. If you feel like, you can choose a distinct forward bend and an intensive back bend. While as you choose the pace, experiment by moving faster or slower. If you like, you can synchronize your breathing in this asana by inhaling when you go up and exhaling when you go down, and simply allowing your breath to flow. The decision is up to you. In this rhythmic movement, you may once again feel your sit bones, or perhaps also the movements in your back. Or perhaps you sense the contact between your hands and your thighs. You can now come into a neutral position or do it with the after. 4, 3, 2, and 1. We start in a familiar seated mountain pose. You may want to once again spend a moment focusing on your contact with the floor and the chair. And maybe you may want to straighten your spine a bit. Now I would like to introduce you to the next asana, the triangle. To do the triangle, it is also easier if we slide a bit forward and place our legs a bit further apart so that we can have more space. We can now do the triangle like this. Land your right arm on your right leg and straight your left arm upward. When you have reached the position, you may sense a mild stretch in your left arm and perhaps also the weight on your right leg. You may also feel that you are holding your breath. If so, just let it flow again. Now I'll start counting again from 4 to 3. You can leave this asana at any time, or 2 to 1. Do this at your own pace, your own way, returning to the neutral position again. Before we turn to the left side, you may want to pause for a brief moment and allow your muscles a little rest and relaxation. When you're ready, bend forward and place your left arm on your left leg Then extend your right arm upward. How far you go and how intensively you'd like to do this pose is up to you. You may sense a difference between right and left. Sometimes the two sides aren't the same. You may notice a stretch of your chest musculature, even in your right arm. If you like, you can stay in this pose for another moment or release it at your own speed. I'll count backward again from 4, 3, 2, and 1, and return to this neutral position. After doing this pose, you may feel like moving your shoulders a bit, relaxing them again, or even sitting very quietly to sense whether the tension is leaving your shoulders muscles. For the next asana, the boat pose, we will need activated stomach muscles again. I'll turn my chair to the right so you can get a better view of how to do this asana. Slide a bit forward and make sure that you have a good support. For the boat pose, we start by stretching your arms so that they are just about parallel to the floor. You can play with the position of your arms. Where you would like to put your arms is up to you. For the next step, pull your navel in the direction of your spinal column and then raise your right leg. It's up to you whether you would like to raise your leg this high or if you just want to raise it this high. When I am in this asana, I once again notice that I'm holding my breath when I tense my stomach muscles. If you hold your breath, to simply start breathing again. You can either stay in this form of boat pose, or if you like, lean further back. Perhaps you sense that you need more strength in your stomach muscles to hold yourself in this position. Or, as a different variation, start rocking from front to back. Perhaps you feel your seat bones while moving, but no matter how you're doing this asana at the moment, you may also feel that your right leg has become heavy and the muscles are tensing. Please remember that you can leave this asana at any time. I'll count backward again from 4 to 3, 2, 1. When you have reached the neutral seated mountain pose again, you may want to compare your sensations in your legs and perhaps detect a difference in your leg musculature. Perhaps you feel that the tension in your right thigh muscle has meanwhile released a bit. These are very subtle, delicate, fine differences, and perhaps you can clearly feel them, or you may not, and this is also completely okay. Now check to see whatever you're ready to practice on the other side with me. Once again, we start by activating the stomach muscles to protect the lumbar spine. When you're ready, raise your arms and then the leg. Here as well, it's entirely up to you how high you would like to raise the leg and in which form you'd like to practice this asana. For example, you can lean back a bit and feel more activity in your stomach muscles, or you decide to return to rocking, form moving back and forth.
Vorne und hinten, hin und her schaukelnd.
Perhaps you start feeling the tension in your left thigh muscle.
Des linken Beins spüren. Vielleicht auch die Anspannung im linken Oberschenkelmuskel.
Or maybe something entirely different that shows up at this moment. You can release this asana at any time or finish together with me after 4, 3, 2, 1. Take your time to come back to the neutral position of the seated mountain pose. It's good for our muscles to be allowed to relax for a moment and once again regenerate before we move on to the next pose.
Wenn Sie Lust haben,
If you feel like doing a breathing exercise, I'd like to show you the sun breath. To do this, we allow the arms to hang down relaxed at the side. We start on an inhale by extending the arms upward and lowering them again when we exhale.
hoch Sie die Arme
How high you take your arms as you inhale
Ihnen überlassen.
is completely up to you.
Und auch wie
You also choose the pace of your breath
atmen. Dabei
and movements of your arms.
finden Sie Ihren eigenen
Take your time to find your own rhythm and speed.
Geschwindigkeit. Vielleicht spüren Sie
You may sense the muscles of your shoulders when you move like this,
Ihre Schultern. Vielleicht auch eine
or perhaps also feel a slight stretch in your upper arms,
oder vielleicht auch
or even the weight of your arms when you practice sun breath for a longer time.
und Sie können jederzeit
You can stop this breathing exercise at any time
mit dieser Atemübung oder mit mir gemeinsam
or finish together with me after
4,
4,
3,
3,
2,
2, 1.
und wieder zurück
Then return to the seated mountain pose
Ihren Muskeln
in order to give your muscles a little break.